Hey everyone, and welcome back to another video. This is a review roundup, and this is something that I'll do from time to time when there are a whole bunch of games that I want to cover, and rather than spam the channel, the plan is to just quickly give you my thoughts on a bunch of different games. And let's kick it off with Civilization VI. I think it's fair to say that this is one of the most complete, base Civilization games yet. Normally you need to wait one or two expansions for it to really get going, but this game at launch is just stellar. They've made some excellent changes to how cities work, which in my view really do add another layer of depth to the game, and they make the city building aspect of it far, far more satisfying than it was in Civ 5. I found that the changes do make me play differently to how I played Civ 5, which is quite good, seeing as it's a very iterative series. The civic system is the one thing that maybe doesn't hold up so well for me. I think it's fallen flat somewhat, but it's not particularly a negative to the overall experience. Now, in typical Civilization style, this has led to quite a few late nights and very difficult to soldier through mornings because there is just this infectious quality to this franchise. You start playing and then suddenly 5 hours has passed, and I'm happy to say that at least in my view with Civilization 6, as somebody who enjoyed Civ 5, I found it to be a very good experience indeed. Okay, next, let's tackle Planet Coaster. After seeing its overwhelmingly positive score on Steam, I thought I'd give it a go. I've played it for a few hours, and I think it's safe to say that it seems like a very good game of that genre. I think players who enjoyed the older roller coaster tycoon games, or even the likes of, say, City Skylines, which is a game that I had quite a lot of fun with a year or two ago, I think those people will likely have a lot of fun with Planet Coaster. Things do get properly interesting once you start to terraform the land and properly build out your own coasters, and while the management and financial element of it does exist, there are definitely times where the creativity that's provided by the game is something that's very, very compelling. On the regular difficulty though, I really felt like the progression was way too easy on the challenge mode, so that was a little bit unfortunate. Performance-wise, it didn't seem particularly great. It seems like it should be okay on 1080p in most systems, but stepping above that just seemed to give me problems. Still though, I've enjoyed dipping in and out of it, a little bit of creativity here and there, and it's something that I'll more likely put a few sort of days worth into in the holidays. One big benefit to this is that it's integrated with Steam Workshop, so that means you'll be able to get lots of player-created content for the game, which really does expand it quite a bit. Overall, it seems like a very good package, and even though I'm not that experienced in the franchise, I had fun with it, and looking at how good the Steam scores are, I think it's a pretty solid recommendation if it's the kind of thing that you think you're into. Next, Battlefield 1. I've got about 45 hours in this game so far. Absolutely love it. Lots of people have said that it's a reskin of Battlefield 4 or Hardline. I think that's completely absurd. There are familiar elements that are there as a part of the Battlefield formula, but that really is where it seems to end. The way matches play out just feels different to me. The new roster of weapons feel more unique and more interesting than in the modern titles. They moved away from having a kind of a single gun, but then loads of different attachments that you bolt onto it. Instead, guns are available in a few different set variants. What this means is that each gun feels a lot more unique and often kind of specific to its niche. You don't just kind of homogenize the best weapon together by bolting on the optimal attachments to it. I mainly play Scout and Medic, so this variation with the weapons has been a super noticeable element of the gameplay for me. Picking the right rifle for the job is a very meaningful and satisfying decision. The gunplay is fantastic, and getting kills feels a lot more rewarding than in most FPS games. There's really punchy, kinetic feel to the game's gunplay, and that's mostly due to its use, I believe, of projectile weapons over hit scan, paired with DICE's often industry-leading sound design. Being able to tweak things like, say, the projectile speed of a gun is, I think, another element in the Battlefield 1 game design toolkit that's allowed the developers to make the weapons feel different. Now, I usually have a very good kill-death ratio, like from 2 to 4. Now, one big criticism that I hear with Battlefield is that you spawn in, you die, you wait 10 seconds, you run back to the fight, you die, and then you wait again. Now, that's not a problem that I've had, because generally I perform quite well when I get into the fight. So, I mean, yeah, I'm happy to oblige that happening, but I suppose that could be something that would be frustrating to some players. Now, as far as game modes and maps go, I've actually enjoyed all of them, and the one that was a little bit of a problem was actually patched to have, I think, the major issues with it fixed. So overall, it's very fun, and what is good about EA shooters is you don't have to buy them in full price. They usually do put them on sale right about when a DLC comes out. Okay, next we've got Titanfall. It's another EA shooter. This one actually sold quite poorly against what was expected of it. This mainly seems to be due to it competing with Battlefield 1. Yep, EA competed with one of their own titles, and Call of Duty Infinite Warfare. What I can say is that the quality of the game probably isn't the cause for the poor sales. This is one of the most polished and tightly designed shooters that I've played. Its movement system is smooth, seamless, and almost never runs into faults. The game's got this tremendous ability to make the player feel very powerful and convey a sense of mastery over its traversal mechanics in a way that just feels really, really natural once you get used to it. Gunplay is the standard hit-scan affair though, but it's happening at such a great speed that it kind of does feel like something new. Well, I mean, unless you've played Titanfall 1. The multiplayer modes are quite cool, and I do feel that the balance between the AI elements and the PvP elements are handled pretty good. The Titans operate similarly, but they're now class-based instead of loadout-based, and I think this is a really good change because it emphasizes team play, and it carves more unique gameplay out for each of the Titans. Games like, say, Call of Duty aren't much fun to play with friends for me because of their speed and their map layout, but the Titan gameplay in Titanfall actually feels perfectly suited to teamwork. Simply put, I think this is some of the best gameplay out there in first-person shooters at the minute, or at least it's some of the best gameplay within its FPS subgenre. There's a downside though, the maps just aren't as good as some of Titanfall 1's maps. Now that's just my opinion, but it does seem like they're funneling you around the place more, and it seems like the maps have a bit less verticality, which really is kind of unfortunate. I think the maps still do the job and they still are fun, but it's no surprise that, say, Angel City 24/7, which is a playlist that contains only one Titanfall 1 map, is one of the most popular ones. The single player is pretty good, you know, simple characters executed efficiently combined with level design that makes a good use of the game's mechanics and gives you the illusion of being skilled and creative. I wish the levels were more open. I wish there were sections where you were on foot while your Titan was doing things rather than either you're a Titan or you're a foot soldier. Still, the mechanical variation does make each level feel pretty different to play, and the campaign does not get stale over its running time, but still, at 4 to 5 hours of gameplay, with very, very little replay value, it's hard to care about the campaign that much. Overall, I'd say it's an excellent multiplayer shooter. It's worth getting, but I would recommend waiting until it's on sale because my recommendation would mostly be based on the multiplayer component. As I mentioned with Battlefield 1, EA regularly do pretty big sales, and because this game didn't have the best sales figures ever, I would imagine you'll be able to pick it up at a discount price soon enough. And then we have the topic of Dishonored II, so this one comes with a humongous caveat. It's a really good game, it's really fun, it's got a great art style, great gameplay, Emily's a really fun character, her moveset is, I think, way more interesting than Corvo, so I've really enjoyed that. But it runs like arse on PC, and that's a big problem because, this is a game where it's about being a smooth, stealthy kind of assassin, or even if you are going in all guns blazing with your sword, it's meant to feel smooth and slick. Well, when the game isn't running that well, when the frame rate's choppy, and even when the frame rate is good, the frame timings don't feel that consistent. So while it does seem like this is an absolutely excellent game, it really does fall to its technical hurdles, and even though there has been a performance patch, it does nowhere near enough to fix these problems. Now, I was having issues with two 980s, albeit I was running at 3440 by 1440. A friend of mine was struggling to get it to run at 60 frames per second with a GTX 770, which is a 2, 3, maybe 4, I don't know, whatever. It's a kind of old card at this stage, so it seems like it's got some serious performance issues. What I would say is, if you enjoy Dishonored 1 from what I've played of Dishonored 2, yeah, brilliant game, you'll probably love it, but maybe buy it in Steam and use the 2-hour review period to see if it runs well on your machine. Maybe then, if it does, keep playing it, just commit to the purchase. But if it doesn't run on your machine, have no shame in refunding, because ultimately it is the failure either of Arcane or whoever was responsible for the PC port for the poor performance, which really does compromise the quality of what seems to be an otherwise excellent game. That's it for my review roundup, though. There are a few other games that I really wish I got to. I'll see how it goes with those, but these are kind of the big titles that I was interested in for one reason or another over the last maybe month and a half. I'll probably do these videos, I don't know maybe 6 times a year. Just quick little updates to give you my thoughts on some of the bigger titles that are going on. But anyway, that's it for me. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.